Twitter has launched its Birdwatch program, meant to address misinformation on the platform by allowing users to fact-check tweets, which the company announced on Monday. Users in the pilot program, which is the pilot program, only includes about 1,000 users in the U.S. to start, which eventually will be able to add notes to tweets to provide context. And this is the very milquetoast way of describing this. In a lot of ways, this is having people snitch on other people for free.
Yep.
I just want to throw that out there
Totally.
first.
They're passing the buck on that one, so they don't get criticized for it. They want to be able to blame, oh, you didn't get banned from Twitter because of this. You got banned because everybody said you were talking about hate. So now anybody could do that. You get a group of people, you know what I mean? Like anybody could do that. You know what I mean? If they don't like what, you could talk about abortion and get somebody banned or something, because of the fact that it's a group that's against abortion. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's a cop out. I just feel.
I mean, we should play video one just to show people what the process is.
Okay, let's do that.
So, I mean, obviously, these are just like, this is a BS tweet. Whales are not real. They're robots funded by the government to watch us. So, but look at all these things here. Little harm, you know what I'm saying? This whole software, which is right now, is not attached to Twitter. It is literally a secondary field that they have right now called Birdwatch. So I'm assuming that they're trying to first show this up to kind of like to news organizations, etc. I have a feeling that they're first looking to try to become a trendsetter in this instance and be able to monitor more of their media more than like Facebook can. But it is using basically people who could be seen as bots, social justice warriors, and just bad faith actors, and allow them to just knock off people who are on Twitter. And honestly, like having a little notch that says, hey, this is a joke is ridiculous to me. Like that's the point of Twitter, is somewhat is like, people do satire, people make jokes, people make it hard for you to sometimes know exactly what they mean. And if you got to figure it out sometimes. That's just a personal perception.
Yeah. I think the only way this type of like approach is effective is if everybody kind of knows each other and it's a small group. When you have millions of followers, then anything can be going, you know what I mean, like crazy at that point. Like imagine 50 people. Okay, let's say you got 50 people. You kind of know who's saying doing what, you know what I mean, and why they might feel a certain way. But when you have like millions of people, they can all group together and cause bans and other issues with other people's media creation or content creation on whatever it's called, social media or whatever
On any
it is that you're doing
platform.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's nice to think that you got people out there looking like a what is it, like a night watch type of thing, that they're looking for issues, but there still needs to be like a level of I mean, I don't know if there is or not, where they actually look at it and say, okay, we agree with that. Like there has to be a certain threshold, I think, set for, like, if we're doing something and we're saying this person's a bad person, shouldn't be on, they should be able to look at what we're saying and then decide whether or not it is or isn't, instead of just letting us decide. I don't know if there's going to be like a point where they're actually involved with the final decision making, but if they're not, that's kind of that there's a lot of problems with it. That's just my opinion, but
And I think that this isn't going to work out in the end, because the truth is that though I like the idea of them trying to moderate a little bit, I believe that they have to have accountability. So you kind of have to have people who work there, because the only accountability that'll be there is that you might get kicked off to Twitter because you flagged too many people. Like that's maybe what they'll do, but most likely they'll just kick you off Birdwatch, and that's not enough. Like if we're gonna moderate tweets at all, I think that you're gonna have a robust system where there are people who are just going through it, and unfortunately, they're gonna have to do it one by one. And I mean, it's not the best way, but it's the most humane way that we know of right now.
Yeah. The problem is everybody wants to be automated because the pure volume of people that they have to monitor is ridiculous. You know that it's
Yes.
it's not cost effective for them. So they're like, we have to have like an automated system. Everybody, look at how we talk. You know, when I say, let's do something, let's try to automate this or let's try to do that, it's only for to get a bunch of things done quickly. If you can't do it quickly, then you know you're gonna fall behind everybody else. So Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, they have their algorithms to catch people doing God knows what. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's hard. You know, I think people should just have their own outlet and their outlets. This is my personal opinion in regards to avoiding censorship, and just have it known that this is the place that you're going to come to see this type of stuff, and that have like a terms of service saying that this is what you can and cannot do, and accept certain things that other people, you know what I mean? Because it'll be said. So it's like, all right, I don't want to talk about pornography or whatever too much, but pornography, it's like it's a different level of video and stuff. You go there for a specific reason to see things or whatever it is that some people might deem inappropriate. But how is it that they can function in their own environment? I know they got their haters or whatever it is, but why can't we do something similar with other people's media that other people may or may not like? I don't want to. I don't like what is it? OANN. I don't like them. But at the same time, if you start censoring them, they're gonna also start censoring left wing stuff as well. There's got to be some sort of like balance in which people can, still say whatever it is they have to say and let people, decide what they believe through their experiences with it. Like I'm not gonna fall for OANN or any of those Fox News crazy things because of the fact that I don't agree with what they believe in. First off, and second, it's like I've seen over time like the stupidness that they do. I think they should still have a means of talking. I'm not going to tell them to silence it unless they're spewing hate. They shouldn't censor anybody, and that's the problem with this thing is
So
that people are
I
going
had
to
a great.
regulate it. Go ahead. I was going to say people are going
No,
to
no,
try to
please
regulate
finish.
it, and then by them trying to regulate it online, like to whose not opinion, but to who says that they're right in regards that that's considered hate speech because somebody is mad at the government. It doesn't mean that they want to hurt somebody in the government. It might just mean that they're mad in the government, but they might, because of something like that, kick somebody's Twitter off. You know what I mean? Like, you're not supposed to disrespect the government. I'm like, I'm not trying to disrespect it. I'm trying to say what I don't like about it. But somebody might take it in some kind of way and kick me off of Twitter, get me kicked off of Twitter because they're just haters. You know what I mean? They don't want to hear the justification of why I'm mad at something. You know what I mean? Like they're just like, no, I don't believe in that. Sort of like all lives matter and Black Lives Matter, right? Like they try to not deter, but get people's minds off of the main. I guess it is deter in some way. Off the main topic of why Black Lives Matter, they want to like kind of like detract. That's the word I'm looking for. They're trying to detract from whatever it is the person's trying to say, and like there's gonna be people out there that are gonna hear what's going on, and they're gonna want to detract from whatever it is that person's got to say, whether they're right or wrong. I don't know if I'm losing my topic here, but do you understand where I'm getting at? Like
Yeah,
there's a
yeah,
certain
I do.
threshold
Sorry.
in which there's certain thresholds in which people have to that should be able to speak freely, and you're gonna have people judging them based on their internal biases, their own biases. Am I saying their biasness?
Yeah, their biases. And
Yeah.
okay, so that's what I'm actually gonna go back to more interestingly, when you're talking about pornography or even sex workers in general, they still
Hmm.
need to use social media like Twitter. So in some ways, you need to watch out for getting these people getting kicked off that kind of network just for being provocative. So you could say that that's in the terms of service, but one of the things about Twitter is that their terms of service is basically very open about
Hmm.
what you can and cannot say. It literally, there's not as many. Facebook has way more rules about what is allowed on their network.
Yeah.
Um, so it is disconcerting to have a community watch, because there are going to be people who are, I mean, I guess haters is a great word for it, but like in truth, there are people who are virulently mad at somebody, and then they're going to take it out against them, and they don't have any strikes against them. So Twitter is going to be validate their context argument, and then
Or
it's just going to be like,
somebody with a big YouTube following or Twitter following or whatever else, they could just say something and like, destroy their whole like Twitter thing as well, or their YouTube thing. That the whole thing about social media, there's so many like messed up parts of it. It's useful for certain things, but because the intentions of the people that are running it do what they do versus the people that are actually kind of like famous or like like or whatever within those atmospheres or whatever, those different social media like apps or whatever it is, there's a lot of things that can like be unfairly done to people, um, just because somebody doesn't like anybody. You know what I mean? You get the wrong. Let's say, God forbid, what's his face? That guy that was saying that the fake deaths at Sandy Hook or whatever it is. What the hell is that guy's name? Can I remember? Alex Jones. Let's say Alex Jones decides to hate me, right? He's got a following and a half. You don't think that like his words can have an effect on me? Like everything, I think in regards to like Twitter and Facebook and everything and people self-governing everything, it leaves too much open. It's not like it's like if I had like a system, I'd have my rules, and I'll be open to suggestions. But but it'd be mainly my rules to how people play my app. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way Twitter should be. If they start opening things up, they did some similar, I think, with that. Did they do that with YouTube too? I think where they had certain people govern certain things, and then they still that didn't work or whatever.
well,
And then eventually
and
they had
and that
to
was
like
kind of,
change.
yeah, it was controversial, because yeah, it was a controversial move for YouTube to basically limit a lot of what people will say, are able to say, and especially, um yeah, they're just restrictive. But they also have a more restrictive platform, and
Yeah.
we have to remember they're private companies. They're not public companies,
But didn't they
so
have a
they have.
self-governance type of thing at one point where they were trying to get, I think at some point, people to do whatever. But I think after a while, I think this was a while ago. I'm just trying to remember correctly, because every company had their stages in which they created a service. Some hater came in and said, I don't like this part of the service. And then they had to keep readapting. So the same thing with all the copyright laws and everything else that they're doing. They're constantly like readapting to avoid lawsuits and loss of money or loss of sponsorship or loss of whatever it is that they're getting through their service, because they're giving the service away for free. So they have to somehow make it, back at the back end. You know what I mean? In regards to,
Mhm.
they got the people coming in. Now they got to get the ads. The ads got to bring in revenue or whatever it is. You know what I mean? And they try to like service both sides, the ad givers and the person receiving the ads. They're trying to like get money out of them. It's a manipulative way, but like, what do you expect from somebody giving you something for free? You know what I mean? Like the service is free and it's privately
Yes.
owned. And like a lot of people don't get that. They're like, that's not fair. It's a utility. I'm like, why did somebody have to make you a utility? They made it themselves. You know what I mean? So I'm not trying to say I'm against changing things into utilities. If it gets out of hand, then you got to do it. You know what I mean? Like Facebook and certain things, they've got to the point where it's like, all right, now it's a behemoth. We need to like regulate some of that. You know what I mean? Or like get some more money out of that. But in regards to, you understand what I'm saying? Like in regards to like somebody just
Yes.
making an app, like if I make an app for like my businesses or whatever it is, um, I would want like full, governance of that. You know what I mean? Like why should I listen to what you have to say? This is the way my thing's gonna go. This is the way I want to have it. If I'm taking somebody's intellectual property, then I have to pay for it, obviously. But that's the only thing that you have to worry about. And YouTube, they'll flag you for
Should.
things they assume. Like they all of them assume, and then they flag you, and you're like, what the hell just happened? I hear so many friends of mine going to Facebook jail, and like all this other stuff. You know what I mean? It's just I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm going off
No, no,
topic a
Facebook
little.
jail exists, but I wouldn't even call it Facebook jail. Like, for instance, on our one of our last videos, though, it's correct. You have to pay for other people's content if you're using it, even in fair use. Um, like Business Insider on our last video,
Mhm.
took a little bit of our, if we were going to make any profit off of it, Business Insider would have taken a little bit of profit off of that. And I think that's totally fine. That makes sense to
Mhm.
me.
Mhm.
But the thing is that there's such a high, you have to get to such a high level for that to matter.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's a weird conundrum that you have, because you have to decide, do you just use all of your original content only, or are you trying to develop something that is more a multimedia experience?